Straight face.
Hey guys, welcome back to Redeemed Marriage. I am Jeff. This is my wife Rachel, and we are going to tell you our story. We're going to share with you some things that we've gone through in the hopes that it would bring you guys closer together and have a closer relationship with Christ as we have done.
Alrighty. So we just feel really led to share our testimony and the things that we've been through to try to help other couples and just to give hope that no matter how bad things seem or look, that there is always hope with Jesus. So I am going to share our story. So
Can I preface this real quick?
sure.
I heard something once from a pastor on the radio that said, if the grass looks greener on the other side, it means you're not watering your own grass. Yeah.
Very good. So this is like our second time besides like the other ones that we like deleted. So we're pretty new to sharing on a video like this. So give us a little bit of grace and laugh with us because we're not really editing anything. So we're just leaving like the little blooper, funny, goofy stuff that we mess up on. So I'm just going to preface that. So I'm going to start with when Jeff and I met. It was 1998, and we met at a country club where I started working there. I had a 19-month-old son and was recently divorced. So we met, and pretty soon after started dating. And a few months after he moved in with my son and myself. So that was pretty quick, and then within just a few months I was pregnant. So I was a single mom,
And I love to party and
yes,
travel around and go to concerts and do drugs and stuff, and just we were oil and water.
yes, our lifestyles were really completely different. I was really never into partying, and like I was married to my first husband when I was 18, and had my son when I was 19. So I really didn't live the party life. I really didn't like drinking or drugs. My father was an alcoholic, so I really did not like even drinking that much, and so it was really complete opposites. So we got together, got pregnant, and was kind of finding out more and more that Jeff was doing drugs, heavier drugs, and kind of not disclosing things or being secretive or covering things up and lying about things, and saying he was gonna stop or he did stop, and then find out like, oh, no, not really. So I feel like right from the get-go our relationship was pretty much based off of a lot of deception and lies, and that was kind of,
But I wouldn't lie I would lie about everything. It could be like, I went to the store and I didn't buy grapes and I bought grapes, but I would lie about it. Just like from small little white lies to big lies, from lying about doing drugs to lying about watching pornography. I lied a lot. I was selfish.
so yeah, and I like, that's one thing I've always just despised, and it was like, even if it's something bad, I'd be like, I wouldn't be as mad if you just told me like the truth about it, but it's like I felt like, you're lying, and even if I'm asking you about something, you're lying, and that would just infuriate me even more. So
in the back of my mind, I thought that it was we were gonna fight anyways, regardless. But I thought, hey, if I could avoid the fight.
yeah. So so we ended up having our first child together. So at that point we had 2 children, and 2 months after our daughter was born, we ended up getting married. So we got married in 1999, and pretty much from the start of our marriage there was just a lot of fighting and arguing and stress and not having money. We were poor, and we were young, and we had 2 kids, and we were like 22 or so at
Mhm.
that point. So we were pretty young. Really didn't have any money. We didn't have a car, and
Didn't have any support.
so yeah. So it was just us just trying to raise these kids, and so a lot of stress and everything into that. So. About 3 years into our marriage, things were just getting, worse and worse and worse. So we decided to separate, and still ended up living together because we just didn't have money to live apart. So we stayed living together, but just kind of agreed upon, we would do our own thing. So even at that point, I started going like to the bar a couple nights a week, and I started drinking, which I really hadn't done much of, and I kind of like for a few month period I might have like had a little wild side there and was like going out drinking, and I did like pursue another relationship at that point, and so we probably separated for maybe like 6 months or so.
But I don't think I've ever asked you this. During that time, were you like complete? I don't want to put you on the spot, but were you completely like?
No, we're
mean-
we're on video here, but he's not putting me on the spot.
Like I think I know that we were having our differences and that we separated, but I still cared about you. I mean, did you want to? Did you think there would ever be like hope or the light at the end of the tunnel, or do you think?
I don't know. I don't know at that point if I did or not. Like, I don't know. That's too deep for right now. So I can't go that deep right now. No, I know deep down we always did like care about each other, and we always found our way back to each other. So but I don't know. I don't think at that point I saw any hope. That's why we really were separated, and I was kind of living my own life, doing my own thing. So, but within 6 months, we did decide that we would give it another shot, and we did get back together, and so we reconciled, and then we had our third
I don't even
child.
think we reconciled. I think we just
but we ended up.
It was just easier to do it together.
Yeah. So we decided that we would give it another shot and get back together. So that's what we did, and we had our third child together, and life is still tough, and still dealing with the same struggles, except you have 3 kids to feed and support and take care of, and still no car, no support, very poor, living off welfare at times, and
limited space. Nobody had personal space to go get their own me time or just time to clear their heads. There was 4 rooms in the house, and there's 5 of us, so...
Yeah, so we usually lived, like, in a 2-bedroom for many years with 5 of us at that point. So, if I'm mad at him or if I'm fighting with him, there's nowhere. I didn't really have my own
transportation
space.
to even get out of the house.
No, it's like, I did walk, a lot of places and stuff, so you could take a walk, but, yeah, you couldn't just go jump in your car to go, like, get some fresh air or something. So, that was kind of, that was rough for sure. So, but probably another 4 or so years after that, we ended up deciding to separate again, because nothing again was changing, and, it was just a hostile situation, and we just were unkind to each other. We just, yelled and screamed at each other, and really just didn't have that.
That was our basic form of communication.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always...
It was just normal to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, it didn't seem like anything abnormal. That was just our normal. How we knew to react and how to be together was to fight and scream and yell, and, it got physical at times, and to call each other, any name, there was no... There's no
filters,
No, so it was pretty volatile at times, and so again, we had separated at that point for about 6 months, but I did move out with the 3 children at that point, and really I just thought, like, this is just it, I'm unhappy, and I was just happy to have my own space and just to be out with the kids. And I just felt like this is what I want. Like, it's just me and my kids. Like, and I loved that feeling and everything, that I don't know, freedom and just having like me and the children and everything. So we did that for quite a few months. I was working, and Jeff would come and watch the kids and stuff. Mm-hmm. And again, he ended up getting sick, and we just decided that we'll get back together. We'll try this again. Mm-hmm. So we retried that again, and again, nothing was really changing. It's just, you're doing the same thing, but so of course you're never getting any results, anything, because nothing was changing, It's
even things we tried, it failed. We tried counseling, and the counselor never came to get us in a waiting room, and so we left there, and there was just things that didn't, in our own powers, we couldn't get it together. We tried. We didn't keep up with things. I never kept up with my end of the bargain. I was just wanting to just still drown my sorrows in either drinking heavily or looking at pornography or just screaming at Rachel and calling her names. That's how I coped with hurt and this and that. And it was just, there was nothing we could do for, once we got back together after she moved out, we were together, I think, for 4 years, until, like, from the second separation to the time we bought the house we're living in. It was 4 years of just, we did life together, but it was just a roller coaster of emotions, and we had some good times, but we had a whole lot of bad times, and we just never really saw the end of the tunnel. And so we bought our first house, and we thought, okay, here's a fresh new start. Things are going to be better, and they weren't. They were much of the same, although everybody had their own living space now. Everybody had their own room, and, it was definitely an upgrade. But just because you have more space and a bigger house or whatever doesn't mean you're going to have that happiness. And so Rachel started going to this church, this local church, with her cousin to this Wednesday night thing, and things really started to turn around.
Yeah, so at that point, we had bought our house in 2009, so this was probably about 2010, and I really lost my community of friends that I had in Lakewood, the parents of my kids, friends that I really formed some relationships with. So I just felt really isolated. I really didn't know anybody here in North Olmsted where we bought our first home, and so I was just feeling really depressed. And the house here with Jeff and was just always a war zone, and just always fighting and arguing, and I was just stressed out, depressed, and just really thought there has to be more to life than this. So at that point, my cousin and I decided that we're going to check out a local non-denominational church, and so we started going to a Wednesday night prayer service. And one Wednesday night, I went up and was prayed for my marriage, and that's where the Holy Spirit really revealed himself to me for the first time, and just felt his presence and his peace, and just such like a burning all over my whole entire body, and was just crying, and just felt this extreme peace. My whole body was on fire. The tears like falling down my face just felt like they were burning my face. And even I came home that night, and I just felt like it's such peace. It was just such I'll never forget that feeling that God was really, revealing himself to me. So from there, I found out about a local Alpha class. So I decided I was going to join the class and just kind of learn about God. And so I started going. I went by myself. Sometimes I'd take my kids, and they would go to the child care.
I wanted nothing to do with it. I thought it was insane.
Yeah. So I really started seeing Christian community there at my table. The table leaders were just loving on me. they were ministering to me, they were praying for me, they bought me a Bible, they would drive me home, they were just amazing, and I had never experienced anything like that. And I was truly learning about what a relationship with God was, and about God's love and forgiveness, which I never really knew of before. I really didn't understand that God forgave me and loved me in such a powerful way. So I was really just, God was just working on me and doing things in my life at that point. So.
But I thought it was just crazy. Like I said, I wanted nothing to do with it. I saw a change in her, though, from wanting to, went from fighting all the time as our main form of communication and yelling to she was just had ease and had this peace about her that I wanted, but I was mad that she had it. I didn't know what it was, but she was a different woman. And it kind of pissed me off, and I kind of wanted to steal her joy, but she wasn't letting any of that happen. And so I would drop her off at these alpha courses, and all the people that I kind of had any limited contact with, I thought these people were insane. And super nice, didn't say anything mean to me or wasn't disrespectful or rude, but just they all had this joy that I was just, at the time, I didn't think it was authentic. I thought it was just a bunch of phony baloney stuff. And so we, shortly after that, it kind of got to a point in our marriage that are we going to do this anymore? Are we going to go and work it out and put our best foot forward, or are we just going to call it quits and just get a divorce instead of not mess around with the separation stuff, but let's just get a divorce because we can't do this on our own power. We've tried, it's failed. Let's move on. So we met. Rachel asked me to meet with the pastor that was leading her Alpha course, and I agreed. And I went in with the mindset that no matter what this guy says, he's not changing my mind. That this Jesus isn't gonna do it. God isn't real, and you couldn't tell me otherwise. And so he said, I'm gonna go to this small group and read this book. It was gonna be a small, I guess, study on this book, and come see me when it's over. It's fine, we'll go. This is our last ditch effort, and being able to see. And I remember sitting in our car and on the street, kind of like, are we really gonna do this? We don't know anybody. We didn't.
I think we were both nervous because this was like a life group, and where you're sharing, and we didn't know anybody.
Yeah, we didn't know anybody.
We have never been to like a life group. We grew up Catholic. Like we never experienced anything
doing
this, like this, and
in such small quarters. We only knew go to church on Sunday, and that's it. So we go to this group and seeing people who actually had an interest in our lives and our well-being and our happiness and wanted to share the love of God with us. And even, I think, going through it, I still was apprehensive, and hearing people praying out loud and caring enough about our marriage and us to actually pray for us and for healing and for restoration and for things like that, that it was just like this, they were just, and they were just normal people. That was the thing, that like they weren't holier than thou or didn't think that they were all that. They were just normal people, and they were really, actually all of them are really cool. And and it was just weird. The whole thing, to me, it was weird because as we were going through this book, Love and War, things were changing. We had to interact with each other. We had to communicate. We had to do things that we weren't used to doing, We had to get out of our comfort zones and out of our shells. And so a lot of stuff was even being brought to the surface, and healing was happening. And all of a sudden, this marriage that was crumbling a few weeks prior was starting to take shape into something that was beautiful, and we were loving each other again and caring about each other. And what was on the these what was burnt down all of a sudden was being rebuilt. And it was so we go through this course in this small group.
Hold on. So
okay.
So I think that that God was really at that point like softening our hearts and being able to make us vulnerable to be able to open up and share. And reading through that book and every week we'd be like excited to read that and start like sharing and answering the questions together and going
and
to
being
the
honest,
group
too.
and everything, right? Like we would be able to, for the first time, I feel like really be feel safe enough that it was a safe place to be able to share. And he really was starting to soften our hearts, because I think our hearts were really hardened towards each other. There was a lot of hurt and pain and anger and just a lot of dislike, really, truly, towards each other, that our hearts were so hardened, and we just didn't like each other. We didn't treat each other well. There was a lot of pain, hurt, rejection and addictions and all of these different things that all put a place in that. So
I forgot where I was.
But with the pastor afterwards.
Yeah, so we meet with the pastor afterwards, and kind of went over some stuff and talked. And it was at that point that I gave myself to the Lord. That He had revealed Himself in a way that I had never imagined. That our marriage was restored, and I couldn't have done it without fully putting Him in the forefront of my life and at the forefront of our marriage. And through that, just completely changed the course of the trajectory of our lives, and how we interacted with each other, to how we interacted with our kids, to how we raised our kids, to just everything. And it wasn't this hocus pocus thing that I thought. It was true transformation of our lives, and it was something that I didn't think was ever possible. And it wasn't, and I would love to sit here and be able to tell you all that because I became a Christian and I followed Christ, my life was perfect. And that's not how it's been. There have been struggles. There were still things that were going on in my life with pornography and drinking and stuff, and trying to find acceptance in things, and not, just personal things that I was going through, that it wasn't like a light switch flipped and it was perfect. That happens for some people. That wasn't the way it was for me. And so it took a long time for healing and restoration, but I knew that I had this hope that I didn't have before. And because I became a Christian didn't mean I was perfect. It meant that I have a Savior who, by grace, had forgiven me. So that's kind of. Do you have anything else to add?
So it's been 10 years now. We've been married for 20, so the last 10 years, just been so, that's just the difference. I guess that's the cool thing of being able to go through all that we have. And this is the shortened version. I mean, there's so much that, we're already kind of over the time we wanted to be to share, but, we could talk easily for over an hour to really go through the layers of it all. So, but it's just amazing to see how God has worked in our lives, the difference, the change in our lives and our marriage. Our whole family was baptized. Jeff and I were able to renew our vows in 2013, and we've just seen such amazing changes, and we just want to encourage, all of you that there is hope in Jesus Christ, and not to give up, and just to keep praying and believing. And truly, we know, because we could have never, ever, ever imagined that this would ever end up this way. It was easy to think, we're definitely getting divorced. I mean, I can't stand you, we don't get along, it was so easy to be yes, we have fought and disliked each other for 10 years. There is no way that we are going to come together, we're going to love each other, we're going to be kind to each other, we're going to serve God. I mean, all of these things, there was no way that we could have ever dreamed to do ministry together, to do all the things and all of the amazing things. We've got to serve at Alpha now, and we've got so many amazing opportunities in the last 10 years. So we just want to encourage you that you guys, it's amazing what God can do, and just to not give up. Anything is possible through God and with God, and anything that we tried on our own strength, it just never worked. But once we put God at the center of our life and our marriage, things started to change, and healing came. The last 10 years there's been a lot of healing. It wasn't just, okay,
Poof.
Great, we both accepted Christ and our marriage is perfect now. No. We both went through, addictions were broken, but that was many years of, that happened after, after we received Christ. And, counseling, there's years of counseling together, apart, and so there was a lot of healing, forgiveness that needed to take place, and there's a lot of just hurt and bitterness and all that. So it definitely is worth it, though. I mean, to know where we are now, and just to look back and see all that God has done. He is so good, and we just give him all the glory, and we just encourage you. And if you need prayer, or we can come alongside of you and help you in any kind of way, even with learning how to resources, communication, that is huge. That is something that took us years to figure out.
And we're not, and by no means, we're doing this now, and there's still stuff that we're struggling through, and I wish our communication was better, and I think this is a great avenue just for us to be doing this, that we can open up more lines of communication with each other. Just that we're not perfect, we don't have it all together, and nobody does, and so that's kind of why we're doing this, to just to help somebody else and help ourselves. So thank you guys for watching and sticking around for the last almost 30 minutes with us. We look forward to our next meeting, and getting a little deeper, and just being able to share our love with you guys and the love of the Lord with you guys. So until next time, YouTube family, have a good night.
Good night.